Yeah.
Reset this? Or repoint this?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode 5 of Take a Look Live. I am Kyle Flaherty, and I'm here with Scott Stevens, actually, is replacing in a valiant effort Mike Hamilton, who can't be with us right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here. Excited to be here today.
That's very professional.
Thank you.
That is, Mike's usually not as polished as
Right.
we know.
No.
And we've heard from a lot of people that some folks thought he was tanning before episodes.
Right, yes.
Is what we heard
Tanning
lately.
and robotical, I think.
Robotical.
Yeah.
I think that was what it was. Yeah, so today we are, I wouldn't say we're winging it, but, you know, Scott's definitely winging it.
Yes.
I will be the professional one, as I usually am, surrounded by some of our good friends and colleagues here at 21CT in Austin, Texas. So today we're going to actually talk, because next week is the NFL draft on Thursday. We're going to talk about sports and analytics. This has been probably, at least publicly, one of the fastest growing areas of analytics. People talk about it all the time. It kind of was born out of the Billy Beane, Moneyball,
baby.
you know,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, and Theo Epstein of the Red Sox and Bill James of the Red Sox, who created sabermetrics, and all those types of things went off. But we're going to focus a little bit on NFL draft overall, and some of the articles that we'll be tweeting out and I'll be showing here on my desktop right now is this awesome site. If you are into football, advancedfootballanalytics.com. It is written by a gentleman named Brian Burke. Brian, we will be showing his Twitter handle at the end as the data analyst of the week. But if you follow him, you're going to learn a lot. And this article overall was talking about Bayesian draft modeling. And if you don't know what Bayesian draft modeling is, I'm actually going to ask Scott to just explain Bayesian theory and what it is.
Yeah, well, it means the probability of event A, I think, is what it means. Or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Could you describe that a little bit more, and maybe for our audience of people?
Yeah, if it rains in Seattle today
Yes.
and tomorrow.
Yes. What does that mean for the next day?
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly what it means.
And if it rains tomorrow and today, it doesn't matter because it's probability based on indicators over time.
Right, and attributes of the particular event that you're recording.
Right. So,
detailed attributes.
so for the NFL draft, and if you go through Brian's piece, he actually talks a lot about the fact that if you have two very similar wide receivers, maybe in terms of scope, size, you know, all those different types of things, and you have the Patriots drafting in 29, and you have the Cowboys drafting at, well, the Cowboys must be much higher because it's not a good team. So they would be at what, 6th or 7th?
Yeah,
Probably. And so if they do this here, and you know the other teams need a wide receiver, then it keeps going on and on.
Right.
And on.
What happens if they take my wide receiver? What happens to my analysis of what I'm taking next? Do I still take a wide receiver if I still have a gap, or do I go for another need? Of mine,
Right. Yeah.
Based on all those probabilities.
And Burke goes into, he talks a lot about the fact, and he has the theorem outlined of how he did this, and then he has a bunch of mock drafts if you want to pay for them. I did, because
It's cool.
I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But he talks and goes through every single scenario of if the number 1 pick is traded, if the number 1 pick is Clowney from South Carolina and it goes to Houston, what happens
And
X,
just
Y, and Z
think
after
of
that?
all the different scenarios that is in terms of exponential
Right.
calculations. It's
Right.
insane.
Yeah, so, and this guy has made a whole life out of this, and he gets paid by the NFL to do all of these things. So pretty cool job. And the one thing we know, no matter what, is the Chargers will mess up the draft. I mean, can I agree? Right? No?
It's my team.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
The Cowboys are my team, and I can guarantee they'll mess up the draft.
Well, they will trade everything to get to number 1 for Manziel.
No, they're
And
going
that'll be
down. I don't
horrible.
know if they're going to Manziel. We'll
All
see.
right, well, we'll see. So the next article that we have actually is something that has been happening in the space a little bit, is the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. So in 2007, this started, and it was literally in 2 classrooms in MIT, and it was 150 people attended. This past year, it's just all devoted to sports analytics and how people can create all of their different analysis of different sports, ranging from World Cup placement to drafting NBA players, etc. They had 3,900 people, and it's now at the Boston Convention Center. Enormous show.
Incredible.
To the point where ESPN now is the primary sponsor of it. If you want, go to YouTube after you come to our page. Go to YouTube, and you can watch all of the live videos. But there are some amazing people here, and if you have heard of, Adam Silver, which this past week he was probably in the news with the Donald Sterling stuff as much as anyone, he talks about the history or the future of analytics in the NBA and how they are tracking not only every shot, but the angle of every shot out of every hand, because now the NBA has surrounded all of the stadiums with hundreds and hundreds of just cameras.
Yep.
And they're literally looking at it coming off your fingertips. And we were talking about the NBA earlier today. I mean, we were working pretty hard, and we were like, you know what?
Yeah.
I need 5 minutes. I just want to talk NBA.
Let's talk about
Let's go shoot some hoops.
some
Yeah,
playoffs.
you know.
Right.
A lot of marketing and sales going on. And so phone ringing off the hook, and we started talking about how matchups matter. And you were talking a little bit about this. In terms of analysis, I mean, you played ball, you know what that, have you seen that kind of influence as you've watched basketball and as your daughters play basketball?
Oh no, I think it's fascinating, and there's a way to get analytics in the future around it. It's going to take a little more thought and technology, but yes, the matchups are the key for. I mean, of all the sports, and certainly there's football with matchups, but you're not going to move a lot of pieces around there. In basketball, even with 5 guys, depends on who's guarding you. It's all about the matchups, and the adjustments that are made are fascinating, even inside a game, inside a quarter, and can dramatically impact the efficacy of players.
Right.
And you put data all around that, and it's possible to go through a whole game scenario, do analytics, and say who should I match up against whom, and what happens if this, then that.
Right.
It's fascinating.
In terms of sports, I think I've seen, at least in the NBA, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but more impact on analytics via television. So there's more, and maybe that's just because of the pace of the game, and they're always scrolling different kind of numbers and whatnot, but they've gone from the whole, like, any team that's scored 12 points in the first quarter and it's raining outside, 92% of the time they win, which were completely pointless, to really deep. I mean, I saw the other night, I think it was, who has the games, TBS?
Yep.
TBS had, all these pie charts and bar graphs and all these things, the scatter plot of just the shots of where Chris Paul is hottest most, if he has someone on him, and all those things. So gets me to my next kind of question, and I was interested to ask you, quite frankly, more than Mike.
Right.
Yeah. I hope he's not listening.
Because he's a lot smarter than me.
Yeah. Tanner.
Yeah, definitely Tanner.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Unbelievable.
He spends a lot of time outside.
He does. In our line of work, we get to.
Yeah.
So, and this is another article that we'll share on our Twitter feed. Do analytics?
I'm really interested in this question.
Do analytics take the fun out of sports?
Do analytics take the fun out of sports? In terms of enjoyment of the game or the result and outcome of the game?
Just gonna ask you the question again. I don't need to ask more questions.
I'll tell it in
Just
context.
give an answer. It's a 15-minute show.
Wow.
It's really not that
rude.
hard.
No, absolutely. I think it does
Mike.
not take the fun out of sports. I think number one, if you're trying to use analytics to determine how to actually play the game, I think it actually improves the quality of the game, because then you have really an understanding of how interactions between and amongst players work. With respect to, as a fan, I want to see those analytics. Now, we get beaten down by some stupid stats and all those other types of things, because it really matters what happens on the floor, and the history of the last 20, 30 years, in my view, doesn't really matter. But it does show a pretty good chance, a broad picture of how amazing it was that somebody actually beat and broke that statistical anomaly.
Yeah, I guess the thing I would say is I fear a little bit that analytics, and that term analytics especially, brings kind of a exclusiveness to sports and watching of sports, and that we're actually going to freeze out a lot of people who potentially aren't going to want to get into it, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, I was told there'd be no math.
Come on, that's absurd. You think people are not going to show up because
Mike never argues with me.
There's math. Is that right?
I don't even know what to do.
I know, you're flustered.
Well, I think
Red
so.
is.
One of the things is I get furious when my co-hosts say anything off script. I think that no, I'm just laughing. I think that if you watch a game today, and like hockey, for instance, so if you're watching that NHL playoffs, which you should be because they've been awesome, but there's so much information being thrown at you during a game that's so hard for people to understand. Like, if you didn't grow up watching hockey, understanding offsides in hockey is hard enough.
Yeah.
And then if you then have to understand all of the scoring mechanisms for one of the big things now is your impact away from the puck. So what you did away from the puck and how you influenced the play. That is kind of daunting to start understanding all those different elements. Then you actually go to the games now, and so I'm going to a Red Sox game next Wednesday night, and they, I guess, have a whole new system of analytics in their app that they can feed you during the game.
Sweet, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never done it, but I think it could be completely overwhelming.
Well, it could be, but you know what
How
you
do I drink beer
You put
while
your phone
I'm
away.
watching that?
Yeah, you don't watch it. How's that?
Well, how do I not
gotta
do that?
Opt out.
I don't know.
What? I mean, it's a choice.
Old
no,
man
I think for look who's talking. If
I
you-
know. I have kind of taken on your
I know,
role.
but if of all the sports, and I mean hockey, it's hard to watch on TV unless it's the playoffs anyway for me.
Okay.
But it is a fascinating game.
Yep.
It's hard to understand, but of all the sports, it's baseball that's had the most stats. I mean, and has the most history of stats, and has not changed the game so that those stats still make a lot of sense historically.
Right.
So of all these sports, analytically, baseball is the and we saw it with Moneyball.
Yep.
Because you have to do something to make it interesting.
That's exactly
Oh,
right.
wow.
That's a
That's
good
rough.
point. And I think
That's
that app
rough.
for the fan who has interest in that, I don't think it takes the fun out of it all. It probably adds to it.
Yeah.
It's very much like fantasy
downtime.
football.
I feel like
Fantasy football has
baseball
changed
does
the
have a
game.
lot of downtime, and so I agree with that. But I used to know a lot about baseball, and now I feel like just because there's all these new analytics, I don't know as much, and I don't know if that's necessarily
No,
true.
you don't know as much because
They're
you
telling
have
me
kids
I don't.
and you don't have as much time to
Well,
spend
that
watching.
could be true. Okay, but good point. No, I like that. So I'll report back next Friday when I'm back from Boston about how that experience
that'd
was.
be cool.
I
jealous.
wanted to tape this live
Go to
in Boston. I thought that would be a good idea.
Can I come?
No, you can't. You're not allowed to do that. All right, so let's wrap it up. We got 4 minutes left.
Okay.
See how?
Just real fast.
Isn't this great?
This is awesome.
You having a good time?
I am. This is great.
I love it.
I hope to be welcome back.
This is a record crowd, by the way.
It is.
I mean,
crowd.
it's probably 80% bigger than most of our
Yeah,
crowds.
It is.
I mean, I'm not into statistics, but it may be 100% actually if I really do my math. But let me show you our data analyst of the week, and it's actually Brian Burke, who you can find on Twitter at this is the worst Twitter handle, Brian, because I know you're watching, I'm sure. At ADV_NFL_stats.
Right.
Could you not have just done
So it's
ADV
abbreviation
NFL
of
stats?
advance, right? NFL
Advanced, right.
_NFL_stats.
Right.
I get it, Brian. No, Brian, that's not bad. When I see it, it makes perfect sense.
What's your Twitter handle?
Old man.
Old Man Stevens.
Sweet me.
Kim, go sign up for Old Man Stevens right now. Awesome. But I will say, so he has some awesome stuff over there. If you are into analytics, he kind of makes it digestible for folks who, if you don't know what Bayesian theory is before this, I mean, we
It's
did.
fascinating.
We obviously
Yeah,
did.
of
We're in the business, so we got to kind of know this stuff. But he breaks it down into something that you can actually digest, and so then you can go and show off for your friends and know
apply to the game.
how the
which is
Chargers are going to
fun
mess up the
watch,
NFL
right?
draft.
Yeah.
Come on.
What?
Stop picking on
Ah, come on. It's going to be fun. So yeah, so that's it. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I appreciate the guest appearance slot.
Mike usually creates an awkward ending. So
Oh, sorry. Should I?
if you can, it'd be really helpful. Because we hashtag awkward ending at the end. It's
Hashtag get
Now,
off my
see-
lawn.
hashtag get off my lawn, Old Man Stevens. So follow him at Old Man Stevens. I'm Kyle Flaherty. We're here at 21CT in Austin, Texas. Thank you again for attending, and we'll see you all again
Y'all have a great weekend.
next week.